All-State Sugar Bowl. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy, 8 p.m. ESPN. Number 6 seed, Ole Miss Rebels. Number 3 seed, Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia favored by 6.5 points. Your over-under here is 56.5, so somebody's looking for some points. The SP Plus has it as a 0.3 point difference.
Wow.
Not even one whole point. 0.3 in favor of Georgia.
Yeah.
The winner goes to the Fiesta Bowl. Again, they'd be playing the winner of the Miami-Ohio State game. These teams played already. We saw this game. It's a rematch. Rematch
in
of
Athens,
Week 8.
Correct?
In Athens, yep. Georgia won 43-35, a really good game. Georgia was down in that one by 9 points going into the fourth quarter. They ripped off 17 unanswered. They won going away. Got a different coaching matchup this time. Lane Kiffin took his hot yoga to Baton Rouge. So
is that true? Hold on. Let me fact check this.
He posted a hot yoga picture. I don't know if you saw that.
He's already doing the yogs in Baton Rouge?
You could argue it's the only reason he took it.
Oh, okay. There's the better yoga scene in Louisiana? Okay.
I am not connected to the hot yoga scene in Baton Rouge the way maybe I should be as a college football podcaster.
Come on, Ty. Get that downward dog research in. Come on.
Pete Golding is going to be on the sidelines for the Rebels. Was on the sidelines against Tulane. They won that one by a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a stretch to say that Kirby Smart's got the coaching advantage in this game, but see what happens. Pete Golding deserves a shot. I asked the question at the very top about rust. This is the game where I think rust could factor in.
By the way, works really well with your Ashanti drop. It's about rust, babe, right? Rust.
That's not bad.
Thank you.
Georgia was playing with such momentum down the stretch. Now to put the brakes on for 24 days.
Yeah.
Great for health.
By the way,
but
disrespectful allusion with an A, disrespectful reference with the brakes and Georgia's driving issues off the field. Come on.
That's not where I was going with it, but okay.
Disrespect. Okay, I know. I'm just kidding.
I kind of think the rust factor benefits Ole Miss here. I really do. I went back this morning. I rewatched the game for like the fourth time.
Yeah.
Not a lot of defense in that first game.
No.
Right? 78 total points. You're looking at that from afar. You're not thinking there was a lot of defense. There wasn't a lot of defense. We had a monster game from Gunnar Stockton. We had a good game from Lawson Lucky at 3 touchdowns. We had 221 yards on the ground for Georgia. They only got better from that point. And
Agreed.
It culminated with what they did in the SEC championship. So now I'm thinking to myself, like, all right, how big of a factor will rust play? Because we saw it last year. You know, this is not like a thing I'm making up. Maybe the seeding had something to do with what we perceived at the time to be rust, but none of the teams that came off a first round bye won their quarterfinal matchup in last year's playoffs. So, where are you at? How big of a rust should it play? Will it play in this game? Or are we going to be two dorks who just go with every favored team?
No, I actually do like Ole Miss in this game. And I hate that I like them on a certain level because I think the best of Gunnar Stockton, which is, by the way, was on display in this Ole Miss game.
He was great. He was really good in that first game.
The best of Georgia eventually came to fruition in this game. They stopped Kejuan Lacey, who was beat up in the Tulane game, as was Trinidad Chambliss, upper body stuff for Chambliss, but came back and played well. I think the rust is probably most apparent in this Georgia situation just because of how well they played down the stretch, even with losing the explosive nature of this that this offense can have against Georgia Tech, right? They could not figure out Georgia Tech in that rivalry game in Atlanta. I think with how they finished the year against Alabama and the emotion involved in, you know, Kirby finally beating Alabama for the first time in a while and doing so on that kind of stage in that manner, and then just stopping.
Right.
Kind of concerning to me. Georgia has some key injuries. Obviously, Ole Miss has injuries too. Everybody's beat up at this point, but with what they've had to deal with at linebacker and now losing Drew Bobo at center for the year. And that was, a couple games ago, but there's some key guys who are limited or just full on out for Georgia. I come back to the fact that Georgia barely won this game at home with Gunnar Stockton playing the game of his life. It doesn't mean he hasn't improved since then, which I think he clearly has. It doesn't mean he can't replicate it. He clearly can. I think not only are you dealing with the rust issue for Georgia, you're dealing with the difficulty of beating a very good team twice in the same season. That Ole Miss is afforded the opportunity to correct what Georgia was able to exploit in a mysterious way, whereas Ole Miss knows how Georgia succeeded against Ole Miss. And Ole Miss obviously succeeded against Georgia as well. But I don't know. There's something that I think Ole Miss has a slight diagnostic advantage here. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But there's a reason why it is tough to beat a very good team twice in the same
Good use
season.
of diagnostic here.
I'm mostly looks.
We're doing this show on like a 5th grade level, but when you pulling diagnostics out, it lends me to think that maybe
we're in middle school now.
A college degree, Dan. Come on.
Let's not go that far. I like Ole Miss here. I like the explosive nature. The game is inside. I kind of like the emotion involved. I kind of like the lack of rust for Ole Miss. I think it comes out in this game. I do think it's a shootout, once again. I have Ole Miss winning this game 35-33. So I guess that overhits for me?
35-33. Wow, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I think they're able to generate big plays. I like the rhythm. And I'm sure Georgia is going to do what a lot of these teams have done, and they play like the 11-on-11, and they play, Oregon. They made a big deal of Oregon playing the sort of simulated game the week before JMU. Like, I don't think Georgia's going to be terribly rusty, but I think Georgia wins this game a week after the SEC championship, possibly comfortably. I think the explosive nature of the Ole Miss offense, to me, the big difference is how much can Ole Miss get off the field on 3rd and medium, 3rd and short. I don't love this Ole Miss run defense, and the best of Georgia on the ground can be super impressive. I think we go back and forth in this game. I think Ole Miss pulls it out.
Man, I went back and forth on this game too. This one in particular, and I was curious to see where you came down on this.
Yeah. I went into this thinking, obviously, Georgia.
Yeah,
now, my problem is,
me too. My
pick goes against all the 3 other picks that I think one of the best things to do in trying to figure out the unfigureoutable, there you go, there's my counter to diagnostic. I just invented a word, is if the final score is 34-10, who is the most obvious team to you that scored 34? And if the final score of this game is 34-10, I think I would pretty strongly lean Georgia.
Yeah, so would I.
And I'm going against that tie because that way I can sit on the fence.
Well, like I said, I went back, I rewatched it this morning. I feel like I rewatched this game so many times. Mm-hmm. I have this game like down to memory at this point. I expect that this game is going to have some similarities, but also some key differences. And so a few things that come to mind for me. One, if you go back and watch that first game, Georgia did a lot of side-to-side stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of trying to pull Ole Miss apart horizontally, and then they found success running up the middle.
Yeah.
I mentioned the 220 some odd yards on the ground. It was a lot of doing just that. Pull them apart, inside zone up the middle. Go back and rewatch. You can't miss it. Sticks out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I think we're going to continue to see some of that from the Georgia offense in this game. 2, one thing that I hope Georgia will fix from the, I'm not rooting for any team, but from the Georgia fan perspective, one thing that I hope Georgia will fix is how they play Trinidad Chambliss. They need to do a much better job keeping him inside the pocket. He killed him when he broke contain in that first game. And for me, this is the biggest key to the game. If you're Ole Miss, you're Charlie Weiss Jr., who is still on the staff and still calling the plays.
Still calling. Yep.
You want to get him outside. You want to put him in a position where he is making Georgia defenders either commit to him running or dropping back and allowing him to run. That definitely put Georgia in a box in that first game. So do more of that if you're Ole Miss. And if you're Georgia, please stop that because that gave them headaches, at least for the first 3 quarters of the game before they figured it out. And then 3, Ole Miss needs to get more out of Kejuan Lacey if they want to win this game. He had 2.6 yards per carry in that first meeting. They couldn't get him in space at all.
It was even less, by the way. You take away his one, like a 10 or 12-yard run. It was nothing. Not a factor.
They could not get him in space. He got gobbled up by the interior of that Georgia defensive line. They got to find a way to get him to the edge. I don't know if it's through the passing game as an extension of the run or if they scheme up the way that they're running a little bit differently, but they got to do something to get him a little bit more wiggle room because that dude's an athlete, and they did not utilize him to his full capacity in that first matchup.
Yeah.
What stands out to me, though, and we saw this the deeper we got into that game against Ole Miss the first time around, and especially so the deeper we got into the season with Georgia. Georgia cleaned itself up on defense a lot.
Agreed.
Especially as they got deeper into the year. Georgia is better along the lines. They are better along the lines than Ole Miss. And I think their defense improved dramatically since that first game. So my sense is that they're better along the lines than they were when they first played back on October the 18th. And they're still better now. And this is going to be a different matchup because of that improvement. They're just a better team now than they were. So rust being what it is could definitely play a factor. I want the points here, but I think Georgia's winning.
Okay.
I've got it at 31-27, Georgia. I think it's a good game, though. And if Ole Miss, much like the Miami game that I talked about at the beginning, if you come to me on January the 2nd or whenever we do our live stream, I guess we're doing a live stream after this on New Year's Day. Is that the plan?
Yes.
So this show will be out. Our next show will be out on...
If your voice makes it.
If my voice makes it, our next show will be out on Friday, January the 2nd. Bright and early.
Late night, Thursday night stream, recording of it Friday morning.
If we record that show and it's Ole Miss and Miami winning those games, I would not be surprised at all. I could definitely look at this game the first time around and come up with a few things that maybe Ole Miss could have done differently that would have yielded different results, that will yield different results this time around. I also think, and we haven't mentioned this at all.
Henry Parrish, by the way, connected to Ole Miss Miami.
So much of the focus is on Lane Kiffin leaving, but we also should maybe focus a little bit on what Lane Kiffin leaving does for the mentality of this Ole Miss team.
Also true.
I thought they played with real purpose against Tulane. And granted, that might have been a mismatch.
And they were at home. Yeah.
We knew that going in, and it was at home. There was a lot working to their advantage. But this is a really strong group of athletes out there.
Mm-hmm.
They might be more athletic than Georgia. And so that should not be overlooked going into a matchup like this.
Yeah.
I like this team. I just think I like the matchup a little bit more for Georgia right now. So I'm going 31-27.
That's all reasonable.